right, welcome back to the 55th episode of the Let's Go podcast. We are back here, another solo podcast with Commissioner Avi Edelman, ready to take you through week one's HSL winter basketball. What a start we had, both in the King Ventures division and in the Wall Street Grill division. Every team's first games is out of the way. We are 1 week in, and we could not have asked for anything better. We're going to go through the power rankings very quickly. We have a few minutes here on an Erev Shabbos to get this done, to get the updated power rankings and what we saw after week one. So we'll start with the 14th spot. MS Motors, Matthew Abramowitz, it will stay 14. A little bit of a disappointing showing week one, getting honestly really, after the first, I would say 70% of the first half, pretty much blown out the whole way. They faced a very short-handed Annie's Kitchen Lot Pizzeria team led by Daniel Ibrahimi, who's having some roster issues early, but not a surprise with Daniel. He, it's been the story of his HSL career so far in the fall and in the winter, so hopefully he'll put it together, but they lost pretty bad by 20 or so points, so they'll remain at the 14th spot. In the 13th spot, unfortunately, don't want to do this, but and again, excuses are excuses, and it could be I'll be proven wrong next week. But law offices of Roman Aminoff, Boris M. Tax Planning, Moshe Kraft. I'm sorry to do it to you, buddy, but it was a very disappointing, to say the least, showing against a Gordon Company's team that really came with no expectations. Granted, they did bring in a big ringer in Jack Ross, who I think is going to be a regular now, which is a fantastic addition for Gordon Companies, which we'll discuss in a second. But it was a really terrible lost by almost 20 points against a team that was barely able to get a win last season. So they'll start in the they will actually move back 4 spots. They're in the 9 slot last. They were in the 9 slot last week, and they'll be at the 13th in the power rankings going into week 2. Speaking of that, 12 seed, Barbacoa, Gav Rosenmuth. So it's actually funny because Barbacoa had a very big win. Zeke had a great game. Only Yormark with a great game. Gav actually didn't play. He was sick. Unfortunately, Gav, and started a new job recently, so we wish him the best of luck. They were in the 12 seed last week, and they'll remain in 12 seed, and here's the reason. Although it was a very impressive win over a very talented and underrated team, in my opinion, Simchas by Shloyu / Addictive Ads, who has never really played together before as a team. They're really like a bunch of guys picked up, together, and very impressively hung in the game and lost by only a couple of points to Barbacoa. And the reason why Barbacoa is staying in the 12th spot is because their best player by far, Zeke, is heading or in Israel already. He's there for a bunch of weeks with his wife. We wish him the best of luck and good luck on a vacation. He'll be missing, the whole middle of the season. He'll hopefully be back for the end to qualify for the playoffs. But I've yet to see them do anything without Zeke. So until they prove me wrong, they'll stay in the 12th seed. Coming in at the 11th seed is Gordon Companies, like we were just discussing. But this new addition of Jack Ross apparently going to be playing for them most Thursdays, qualifying for the playoffs. That is a fantastic, fantastic addition. They move up 2 spots, rightfully so, with a really dominant win over law office of Roman Aminoff, Boris M. Tax Planning. Moshe Kraft claims their team is missing a bunch of guys, and it could be true. I believe it's true, but until I see it, they're going to, it was a very impressive with my Gordon Companies. They'll stay in the 11th seed. In the 10th seed and dropping 2 spots as well is Annie's Kitchen Lot Pizzeria. As I mentioned before, Daniel Ibrahimi having a lot of roster issues. They came with a lot of hype, very small team, but supposedly very athletic. They did not look good at all. I'll tell you that much. MS Motors really didn't play, had a really poor game, which really made Annie's Kitchen look good, but Annie's Kitchen La Pizzeria did not look great. Got to wait to win, but yet they'll be dropping 2 spots from the 8 to the 10. Coming in at number 9 is that Addictive Ads by Simchas by Shloyo, and you don't see this too many times where they move up 2 spots after losing a game. And again, the reason is because they are a bunch of talented players who have never played together before in their life. As they mesh, I think week 2 they'll be 30 times more, prepared, and they're going to be playing better and, play with each other more. Again, a bunch of, Fader, Margarefta, Zitwer. I could go on a couple other players who are fantastic. I just sound familiar with the names, but great team, great group of talent. And I think they have to raw. I think they have to learn to play together, and they'll be really, really cause a lot of damage in this league. So they're in the 9th seed. Coming in the 8th seed, and again, he's not gonna like it, but Dylan Kaufman, the Vly Vipers, dropping 1 to the 8 in the power rankings. They were missing arguably their best player, but still a very disappointing showing, and honestly very tough loss to Jules by DK team who was missing all the regulars and apparently were much weaker than they usually are. And the Fly Vipers lost, pretty convincingly. So they're at number 8. Coming in at 7, and actually moving up 3 spots is HAB Construction, Elon Shamsayev. They have yet to bring out the apparently best talent in the league. Hopefully he will play enough to qualify for them. They did lose to Link Home Care, but they fought Link Home Care almost as well as any team has fought Link Home Care throughout the whole fall season and obviously through the first game of the winter. They're up by 1 with 5 minutes left. They ended up losing by 13 points, but they stayed in there. They stuck in there. They have a couple of really, really awesome talents, a couple of unbelievable shooters, and in my opinion, they even with the loss, they move up 3 spots to the 7 in the power rankings. Coming in at 6 and dropping 3 spots is Royal Adjuster and Captain Shushan. He wanted to, they were missing a lot of guys. Yes, they were. They're missing arguably the best player in the league in Jonathan Baez, who is not playing. Really, really poor, embarrassing performance. Other than Pearl, who had a bunch of shots. Um, really did not play well. They got absolutely torched by day 3 / Rides to Fly, which we'll get to in a minute. And, until I see Baez show up and dominate the way everyone says he is, they drop down to the 6. Coming at the 5, Jules by DK and Avi Schneider. I haven't really seen their team play much. They only had 1 regular or 2 regulars maybe play last week. They did win pretty convincingly over the Fly Vipers, but only because I haven't really seen them much. They're going to stay at the 5 seed. Coming in at the 4, Caleb Pollan and under 5'10" Pipe Doctor. They lost also. They hung in the game for a while and then ended up losing by a bunch of points to Olam Realty, who is the talk of the town. And I got to see them with my own eyes. They are fantastic. We'll get to them in a second, but under 5'10" was missing their best player, their big man, or one of their big men. And they put up a good fight. They hung in there until, maybe 12, 13 minutes to go in the second half. They were within 2 points, so they're going to remain at 4. Coming in at 3, super impressive win. We just discussed Ellie Dax, day 3, Rides to Fly. Really just torched. Really just torched Royal Adjuster. Again, granted, Royal Adjuster was missing a couple of big names. Day 3, Rides to Fly was missing one of their best players in Gershi Leth. Shimmy David carried them, for the most part through the game. Also with a couple of really, really, guy's a big boy, a couple of big moves, big time plays down low. But they're going to move up 3 spots. They really impressed me. They played really well, and they're missing their, arguably top 2 player. So now we get to the top 2 seeds, and here's where the controversy is going to come in. I feel, from what I saw, Link Home Care, as dominant as they are, and granted they have not lost a game yet in the HSL basketball season, they will be moving down from the 1 to the 2 seed, and here's why. I think Link Home Care is a fantastic team. Yisrael Oster is still arguably the best player in the league, and until I see this guy Baez and until I see this guy on HAB, I'm not going to buy it. Wasser is a fantastic talent. Allswing is fantastic as well. Allswing's be limited this season, and I'll tell you why. I love you, Ari. There are other teams, as we'll get to in a minute, that have guys Ari's size, if not bigger, with talent. I think, a big thing we were talking about in the championship game, going into the championship last season, was the X factor. It wasn't really Wasser, it was really Allswing. There was no one last season that was his size that could stop him. I think there are a bunch of teams in this league that have guys that could really either, not shut down Olsen, but put up a good fight and really limit him. And I think MS Motors, not MS Motors, I'm sorry. I think Link Home Care is a lot more dependent on Allswing than a lot of people realize. And, I don't really take much from their win against Hab Construction. They did what they always do. They sleepwalk through the first 1.5, 70% of the game. And then when they need to wake up, they wake up. They're down 1 with 5 minutes left. They turned it on. They won by 14. But the real reason why I moved them to 2 is because of the 1 ranked power team coming into week 2, and that is Olam Realty. Olam Realty is something else. They were missing their 2 best defenders last week, and they still, with like 15 minutes to go in the second half, just pulled away from under 5'10" Pipe Doctor and just dominated. Navone, one of I think the fastest basketball player I've ever seen, the fastest guard. He has a wet, gorgeous shot, good look shot, 6 shot. They have a 6'6" center who is just a big boy down low. He had almost not broken finger, but he had a hurt finger, so he couldn't really, be aggressive towards his basket. But they have a 6'6" center, a 6'3" power forward. They're big down low. They have great shooters. Honestly, just a dominant team. Do I think Link will compete? Yes. Day 3, yes. Do I Rides to Fly? Do I think under 5'10"? Jules? There are a lot of teams that will compete with them, but it's just my humble opinion going into week 2 after seeing them live and hearing the hype and them living up to it. and with them missing two of their best defenders. Um, which just makes them so dominant with such a good offense. I think they get the power rank one spot. So there's your power rankings going into week 2 of HSL Winter Basketball. I want to once again thank all of our sponsors for making this happen. I want to thank all of our teams. I want to thank our 2 divisions, the King Venture division, the Wall Street Grill division, for incentivizing our players and our teams. Again, the way it works is the top 3 teams in each division will clinch a bye, and then the best 4 overall records after that between both divisions will play a wild card where the top 2 teams will hit the 7 and 8 seed. In order to make finishing in the 1 seed important, King Ventures and Wall Street Grill divisions will be giving out some nice incentives, whether it's a Wall Street Grill dinner or whether it's custom hoodies to the first place team. So it's still important to come in first place and win your division. I want to thank everybody for making week 1 such a success. We will see you Sunday night going into week 2. Olam Realty, congratulations. You are the #1 power rank team. Thanks, guys.